Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're crushing morning miles or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.
This episode of Is This Adulting is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to learn more about supporting the show, click the Support the Show tab on our website, isthisadultingpod.com. It helps us keep the lights on here at Is This Adulting headquarters, or you can visit us at patreon.com/isthisadulting. Thanks. Hey everybody, and welcome to Is This Adulting, the mental health comedy podcast you never knew you needed. I'm your best friend, and y'all, it's hot. I'm hot. I'm Stephen Pappas.
And I can proudly run a 14-minute mile. It's the truth, y'all. It's okay. I don't even know if I can even do that. I looked earlier today because someone was bragging about how fast they can run a mile, and they asked me, and I said, I don't know, like 12 to 14, is that good or bad? And then I found out like the average age of like a 75-year-old is less than 14, and that made me a little sad. So I don't know. Is it just me, or is that like still a pretty fast 75-year-old?
Yeah, it seems that way.
I think so.
A 14-minute mile, though. You gotta work out a little bit. I
stop a lot. I look at scenery. I do some nature walking. So I do a little bit more than just run. So
I haven't tried to run a mile in a while. Hey, do you want to introduce yourself, or we're just?
Oh, hi.
That? Oh no,
I'm
not
here
you.
Too. Oh, I was ready to introduce myself.
Did I not introduce myself?
No, Chris forgot to say his own name.
Sorry, I'm Chris. I'm the second best friend. You're used to me forgetting by this point.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm impressed. Our guest took more initiative than you.
That's true.
Oh, well, hi, I'm Travis McElroy. Whenever I guest on shows, like, I always forget to ask before we start, like, and how will introductions go? Because I've been on shows before where there's, like, a whole 15-minute opener where they don't introduce the guest, and I'm sitting there like, how? Should I? Is this where? Do I say it?
We should have done the long con and just kept saying, we'll introduce you. So just
could you hold on? Okay, we'll put in a cut here.
Thing.
We could have done it too. I think Travis would have just eventually interjected. I think that's what you did on Good Christian Fun.
Probably. This is very true.
Which is what
I have a hard time not
show.
Talking. That's my whole thing. Is like talking.
I
know.
And
I do it a lot.
And
you do.
It obviously everybody has realized by this point we have another best friend with us this week. So. You know him from his highly successful podcast, My Brother and Me, The Adventure Zone, Schmanners, Run, a Doctor Who fancast, and Trends Like These, as well as being mentioned on our show, basically weekly. Please welcome Travis McElroy to the show. Hey, Travis.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be here.
Travis, I'm interested. We've listed a lot of things that people would know you for. What's something that they wouldn't know you for? Just something saucy, just for us.
I did a... very short-lived, hopefully I will be able to return to it, video series on YouTube called Carry On, a cinematic journey through the film career of Jim Carrey. And my intention is eventually, someday, to watch and review every Jim Carrey movie. And I started it's called Copper Mountain, and it's basically a 90-minute long ad for Club Med, like a Club Med ski resort. But there's like a storyline to it and everything, and it's starring Jim Carrey and Alan Thicke as best friends. Yeah, it's real bonkers. And then there's several other ones that I watched. Basically, I made it up to Once Bitten, and that's where I took my break. But it's possible you could still find some Carry On episodes on YouTube somewhere.
Go and check that out, everybody.
You got to
eventually. Especially since I went through the most difficult part. I went through the crappiest movies and then copped out at the first movie that's kind of actually a movie.
Right, I was going to say, you missed the golden age of Carrey.
Well, because this is my theory. The reason I started it is I've always been, this is not an exaggeration or a joke, I've been really fascinated by the career of Jim Carrey, not as a fan, but rather as I believe that a smarter person than me could track, this is when everyone got sick of Jim Carrey, and that because I believe somewhere around Ace Ventura, The Mask, somewhere in there it was he was box office gold. And then my theory is the pinpoint is at The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, is when people just started letting him do whatever he wanted because he was a genius.
Yeah.
And at that point, there was no pushback. And I think comedy is best with restraint, right? With something to push against. And if you're just letting the comedian do whatever they want, it's not funny. Look at the difference between Austin Powers and Austin Powers 3.
Oh, Austin Powers 3 qualify as a comedy, as a film?
No. I actually think it's all the cutting room floor stuff from Austin Powers 1 and 2 strung together for 85 minutes.
Now, I do have a question about your film taste, though, in my heart, because I did see a tweet from you about Batman Forever.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, why are you watching Batman Forever?
The sad thing is, I haven't seen Batman Forever probably in forever. I haven't seen it in like 15 years. It's just, my brain is really funky the way it will like, my brain does like A to B to C to D really quickly, like completely on its own. And I can't remember how I got to it. But just I was thinking about one thing, which led me to another thing, which led me to another thing. And then suddenly I'm thinking about the scene in the like laundry room where he's pulling his clothes out of the washer and like whipping water all over the room and like spinning them around in a, let me tell you, I'm an adult now who washes clothes all the time, would not dry clothes, would not do shit. Also, this is a crappy washer because all the clothes come out of it soaking wet. And like there are spin cycles for that. That is not how a washer should work. And also, Batman should have a dryer. It sounds, he's Bruce Wayne. He's very rich.
Where does he
has
wash the
every
suits?
possible piece of technology imaginable, but yet he somehow did not get that.
The only thing
famous
I can
dryer.
think is that when Bruce Wayne is done wearing clothes at the end of the day, he burns them and just buys new clothes.
He could. That's
That's
thing.
my theory.
Well, I like your theory. Well, we're going to get into the mental health check-in and probably more Batman talk in just a second. But do you want to tell everybody where they can find you and your shows on the interwebs and or your home address?
Yeah, the easiest way is to just walk around Cincinnati looking for me.
Sure.
And maybe we'll run into each other. But you could also go to McElroyshows.com, MCELROY shows.com. Everything is there. Links to everything. You also find me on Twitter at Travis McElroy. And we have a graphic novel coming out of The Adventure Zone very soon. You can go to theadventurezonecomics.com. Wait, is that right? Hold on. It seems right. Check in my autofill bar. theadventurezonecomic.com.
Nice.
Cool. And that'll be out, let's see, this comes out on the 19th of July, 2018.
Oh, then it's out.
So,
Then
yeah,
it's
it just
out
came
now.
out 2 days ago.
Go get it. It'll be
I
on
think.
Amazon and stuff too.
Cool.
So
It
exciting.
should show up at my door on release day, so I'm excited. I've had it pre-ordered for a year. So,
Heck yeah.
so I am pumped. All right, well, we're going to start off this week, just like we do every week, with a mental health check-in. So, hey, Chris, how you been this week?
It's been interesting, y'all. I've gone through waves lately. I've been sharing this in some of the other episodes of. I've recently had a very extensive time at work where I've kind of been asked to take on a little extra, and in some ways that's really encouraging because it's like, sweet, people think highly enough of me to think maybe I won't completely screw everything up, while simultaneously just the amount of pressure can be overwhelming, and so I've been struggling with that and struggling with sleep and a lot of other things. And you know, it's funny. I try and go sometimes without taking medicine because in my mind I either forget and or tell myself, come on, you can do it today without it, and then I just end up regretting it whenever I don't, and I just realize I need to freaking take my medicine. So I've been going up and down, and truthfully, you know, I'm doing pretty good right now. But I will also be honest, Travis, I'm excited that you're on, and I got a little bit of the butterflies. I feel like
I'm a big old Dorcas.
I know, but still,
But
feels
you
like
are
I'm,
big old Dorcas.
Oh, that's fair.
I feel like I'm coming up in the full aqua blue suit, and it's prom, and I'm super excited about it. So you're my special prom date. So I'm a little nervous about that.
Oh,
But,
thank you.
of course. Maybe I should have picked purple since that's the hair color that you're going with these days. But either way, I'm doing okay, but it is something where, you know, today in particular, I had a realization that I've had before, but sometimes it's just really nice to kind of go back to. In our community, Travis, so we have we're going to talk more about that later, but we have this online community called the Best Friends, Is This Adulting Best Friends, and the intention is to try and be a safe space on the internet in a world where, let's be honest, there's not many safe spaces there. But the thing I've really appreciated about it is there have been many times, like today, where I'm freaking out, and then I'm able to pause for a second and be reminded I'm not the only one that is dealing with this, right. and I'm not weird, or I'm not broken for feeling this way, and it really does provide relief, because it's one of those things where it's not going to solve my problem, but it at least provides the relief of, there's a shared experience I'm having with other people right now around, the country, around the world, and it just helps it kind of brings things back into perspective, and you can be grateful that you have people out there that you can connect with. So trying to be thankful in the midst of a pretty anxious season that I've been in, but overall, I gotta say I'm in pretty good health, so I'm gonna take that as a win. Whatever I can count as a win, I will. So Travis, how you been, man?
Oh, such a good question. Well, I coming off of this past weekend, I went to Louisville and spent the weekend with two of my very best friends. Cool. And so I used to think that I was an extrovert, and now I do, either that changed over time, or I've since realized I'm just an introvert who really likes to be the center of attention when I want to be the center of attention. But I don't really like being surrounded by people all just hanging out. I like performing. I like standing in front of people. I like being the one telling the story that everyone's looking at. But if I'm just standing in a room full of people, I'm so uncomfortable. And so being around two people who I have known for over a decade at this point, and who I love and who love me, and that we're very comfortable just sitting around playing video games, and that's an amazing time. That to me is just that's a very rejuvenating thing. I went through a pretty bad bout of depression last year, and one of the things that talking with my therapist that we realized was it was when BB was first born, during the first 3 months, I didn't really go out and be social. I was home with her because she was born, and then that winter was really bad snowstorms here in Cincinnati. So I basically just stayed home until February. She was born in October. And in that block of time, I didn't really hang out with anybody outside of my wife and my baby. And that's very isolating, especially since Teresa at the time we were taking turns sleeping while the other one was with the kid. So sure. a lot of the time, it was just me and the baby feeling very lonely, and that really sunk me. So now I try a lot more to be social, and it's counterintuitive because a lot of times when I'm in a depressive episode, I don't want to do anything. Right? It's that feeling of wanting to curl into oneself. Yep. And I find that just grabbing a lunch with a friend is more cathartic and relaxing than anything I could do. That said, it's been a kind of mixed bag for me because I really enjoyed hanging out with them, but also just over the last week, I have been, and I won't go into specifics about what, but sure. I have been really thinking a lot about what it means as a creator to actually care about and respect, and what it means to say you love your audience, and what that actually means, and what the responsibility of being a creator towards your audience is, and what isn't your responsibility towards your audience, and where that lies. And really what it is I see people who don't seem to take that responsibility seriously, or will easily throw around that they love their audience, and then seem to make decisions that indicate otherwise. And that's just so frustrating to me as a creator who does appreciate everything that he has been given by his audience. And I'm not just saying this to my audience listening. Will go, oh, right. It's something I think about all the time. And so when I see other people taking their audience for granted, this is a thing that I do a lot that is one of my biggest kind of mental health stumbling blocks. is part of having ADD is like a super overactive imagination. And so I will start thinking like, well, I would never do that. I mean, how would I even feel if I had done that? And I will put myself in the mind of the person who is disrespecting and taking advantage of their audience, and I'll start to feel like I have done it. And I'll start to feel bad about them doing it, even though I had no control over it whatsoever. And it can be really hard sometimes to kind of pull out of that spiral. So going and spending time with friends. This morning, I woke up and I took my dog on a 45-minute walk, even though I didn't feel like it. I got home, I showered and got ready. I had a salad for lunch. I'm feeling great.
Nice, man.
Steven, how are you
really
doing?
Cool. Yeah, Steven.
Is that what I'm supposed to do? And then I throw it
sure,
around?
perfect.
Sure, you are a podcast host through and through. I'm doing all right. And just going off what you said, that's something that I have thought about lately as well. So because I realized we have listeners that are incredibly kind to us, and I the other day opened a package in the mail, which I tweeted out about, and just burst into tears because our listeners clearly care so much about us, and we have that group on Facebook, and we're active in there, and we chat with them all the time. And I mean, I've opened my home to listeners before, and it's just like thinking about that of like, what does being a creator look like to your audience? Because I don't know that, and I'm really bad at drawing lines. So like for me, I'm just like, oh, my dog is losing his mind.
That's okay. Mine does it all the time. Just build it into the fiction of your podcast. Like, oh, there's Buttercup again. And that's good. You don't have to edit it out. It's great.
Oh, I'm not going to. They've come to expect it.
Sure.
But I hate to interrupt your mental health check-in, but I will say that this is the thing that I've been doing this now for 8 years, right? And I feel like I went through a similar thing near the beginning of my career, and now at the end of my career. No, at the beginning of my career, that was very much like, how much is too much to give, right? Because at a certain point, you cannot hold yourself responsible for every single person's experience. Listen, you know what I mean? But like knowing the difference between, and I almost said like the help me change the things I can, understand the things that, but like it is important to know like this is a thing within my control. This is a thing I can do to improve my listeners' experience and maybe make their day better, that kind of thing. But this is a thing that for my own mental health and my own well-being, I can't try to fix because it's not within my power to fix it. And then making sure that you find the other bookend of that is like not letting yourself off the hook, not saying like, I don't care. Like you have to find this like margin of error kind of thing of like, if I go too far this way, it's bad for me. And if I go too far this way, it's bad for my audience. And I have to find the target area of doing my best for my audience while still taking care of myself. And it's a really hard place to find.
I'm not going to cry. You're going to cry. That's something that literally audience members have had to be like, take a step back. You need to think about yourself. I'm not always great at that. So thank you for that. That's something I probably need to hear more than I do.
It really is. It's part of the journey that like I have talked with dozens, maybe like 100 creators, at cons and stuff like that. And we all share the same experience of like, yeah. And at a certain point I had to realize blank, right? Because when I first started, like I would answer every tweet that anyone sent me. Like I would spend hours just like responding to everybody. And like when I first got on Facebook and first like started doing a podcast, I just said yes to every friend request that was sent to me. And I ended up with like 2,500 Facebook friends that I did not know.
Right.
And like responding to every tweet, especially once BB was born, I couldn't do that anymore. Like I couldn't sit on Twitter for 8 hours and just like respond to everybody. And so like trying to find that, because the bad word I would say is detachment, but I don't mean like that's the thing is it's too easy to go that far and be like, and now I'm not connected to it at all, but rather like anything in your life that you are finding a healthy amount of it to do without doing too much or too little,
Right.
Anyway, so how's your mental health? I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I appreciate and respect every single thing you're telling me. My mental health is good. So I took a new job not long ago.
Question mark?
Which everybody listening who listens often will know. I took a new job. Official start date was 2 days ago, and so I've been helping on and off, but now I'm in there, not full time, but part time, full time, and it has been really good actually. For the first time in my life, I started working somewhere that I had the experience where I went, oh, this is good.
Really? That's exciting.
Yeah, and so things have been going well there. That's helped, but I'm still doing this thing where my therapist has started setting aside a bowl when we sit down with beads. And every time I say something self-deprecating, she puts a bead in the bowl. And like, because I constantly tear myself down because I'm still not 100% comfortable admitting that I am valid and my feelings are valid and that I have purpose, and I'm accepting that a lot more than I used to, but I still have trouble with that. So I've been dealing with that a little this week. Beat myself up over stupid things like, oh, I didn't eat a salad for lunch, or oh, I didn't, things I'm trying to do. I didn't go to the gym today, but I'm gonna get up and try my damnedest to go tomorrow. Like, I'm trying not to get mired down in that. So I am still able to pull myself out of it. It's just a matter of keeping on the positive side of that. And like Chris said, and our listeners all know this, you, Travis, are a big part of my mental health journey. And so this is a big thing for me. And so I do want to thank you.
Are you worried that in getting to know me, you'll be severely disappointed and it will be a huge setback for you?
Not at all. Not at all. I am grateful for the experience to get to talk to you and just without getting weird on the air or anything. I sent you a little bit in the email.
Not get weird. It's fine. Let's get weird.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Let's get weird up in this podcast.
No.
Well,
yeah, our listeners know, without going into detail, 2 years ago, you saved my life. I was metaphorically and almost literally standing on the bridge. And something you said in a podcast made me turn around. And so for this is a big mental health step for me.
Can I ask, and this might be incredibly masturbatory, but out of curiosity, do you remember what it was that I said?
Honestly, it's something that you've said almost every time I see you tweet from the rest of time, but it's the first time I saw it, and I heard you mention something on in Terabang, and you were talking about validity, and that's something I don't do well. And it was this feeling of somebody out there telling me, you are valid, you matter. And as weird as this sounds, I was a 26-year-old kid and no one had ever told me that. Not in those words, not that straightforward. And hearing you talk about mental health on that show, I feel like you did a lot. And hearing you open up about that and then tell people like, hey, I remember you saying it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to get medicated. And at the time, I thought that was weakness, that I couldn't do it. And that the easier thing was to just not deal with any of it ever again. And so for me, it was hearing somebody say that. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this, is try to normalize that discussion, let people know, like, therapy's good for you. Like, do therapy, take meds when you need it. Medicine is not a crutch, and medicine is not a weakness. Medicine is something that you wouldn't not take your insulin if you were diabetic.
Yes, is exactly. That's one of my big pushes. Is like anybody when someone's like, "Oh, I don't need to go to therapy." It's like, okay, but like, if you had the flu, you'd go to the doctor,
right?
So if you are depressed, why not go to a doctor? Like,
yeah.
and I say that as someone who didn't start doing therapy till they were 32. And I studied psychology in college. Like, I was going to get my master's in it at one point, but then I remembered I didn't like school, and so I became a podcaster. But like, I supremely believe in psychology and therapy, and it still took me 32 years. Because here's the thing, for me, my problem was kind of the opposite of yours, like the polar opposite. Is rather than not feeling valid, I felt incredible. Like I am a narcissist and a recovering narcissist. And so like for a long time I would get frustrated because other people were not acknowledging how great I am, or other people would interrupt me when I would interrupt them, you know? And
Right.
so like what I realized is a lot of the issues I was having, and this is ironically something I learned about narcissism in school that I thought was so fascinating that I never applied to myself, which is the main reason narcissists seek treatment is because they are depressed that other people don't realize how amazing they are. And so like that is then it's like, oh, okay, well, here's why you feel that way. And so it took me a really long time to realize like, oh, you know, I'm not really that easy to get along with in real life, and I don't always think about other people. And so like my wife has been huge in that, and therapy has been huge in that. But really the biggest thing that has helped me with that is having a baby. It's like
Right.
now the idea of ever putting myself before her is like the most but so anyways, it took me a long time to seek therapy because I just kept saying, well, the problem's not me, it's everyone else. It's
Right.
like, okay, well, I'm out here doing my best, and no one seems to appreciate how hard I'm working. So like, you can't get mad at me. I'm doing my best. And then suddenly I started feeling depressed, and I went to the doctor, and talk with my therapist was very much like, okay, well, what I realized was the problem was if I wasn't going out and hanging out with friends, right? What I was doing is getting all of my social interaction from social media. And I was allowing it when people would say nice things about me that would inform my mental health picture of myself, of like, I am a good person. But the downside of that is if people didn't like me or said something even remotely negative about me, I also took that at face value because that was how I was forming my. And so like that was honestly, as weird as this sounds, and very, 2018, a big part of my beginning journey of like my therapy and mental health journey was building my own opinion of myself, not based on what other people thought about me and how much people liked me. I used to say that if I died and no one was happy I was dead, then I had led a good life. And here's the thing is like, that is one, impossible to achieve, and two, not a good metric to like to judge your life by, right? Because that is talking about how other people think about you after you're dead rather than the actual impact you're making on the world. And like realizing that was a huge kind of step for me of like, no, you know what, when I die, I'm less worried now about dying and what people say about me afterwards than I am spending time with people now and enjoying my time with them. And like realizing the difference between those two things was such a huge of like, I'm not living for dying. Like I am living because I get to, and because I'm here, and because I have these times. And so like one of the things, to bring it all back around, one of the things that I started doing was whenever I would have a day where I was feeling even just a little bit down or depressed or anxious or anything like that, rather than internalize that, I would say on social media the thing I would want to hear. And like, so people always, for a long time, people said like, I wish I could be as positive as you. But the truth is like, I'm projecting outward the positivity that I wish I felt on social media. Like those are the things I want to hear and the things I want to tell myself. And like, so I share that out, and then realize that in sending out that energy, I am internalizing that positivity better than if I was trying to fake it, because I see the impact that saying just something is like, I'm really glad you're here, and seeing people respond like, I really needed to hear that, that then makes me feel more positive than just like trying to think positive would. And like, so that taught me a pretty important lesson too about like, for me at least, I can't speak for everybody, but for me at least, doing good for others makes me feel better about myself than like trying to cheer myself up. Cheering someone else up and seeing a positive effect on them is better than me trying to cheer myself up, if that makes sense. I've talked a really long time in a segment where I don't think I was supposed to talk all this much.
No,
I hope you guys are okay with a 3-hour-long episode. That's what this is.
I am down. That's 3 hours we get to hang out. No, this is what it's about. Like, at the end of the day, we make goofs and we have fun, and it's about normalizing this conversation. And sometimes we do that by proving we're goofy and we can be silly even though we deal with depression and anxiety. But it's also about having a genuine conversation and saying, hey, like, this is where we're at. This is where we've been. This is the journey, because everybody out there's on some part of the journey. Like,
right.
And so we get emails all the time. And like I've told people, we're not able to respond to every email we get, but we make sure we read every email we get. And like, you're not alone. Like, your voice is being heard. And
that's the thing is the thing I will say, though, is like the thing I caution against is that the other side of that, you know what I mean? It's like you start to feel responsible for everybody's mental health journey, and like making sure everyone, like, this is a thing I have to remind myself all the time, is like, I can't individually like fix and help everybody.
Right.
And if I internalize that too much, I start to feel bad that I'm not helping. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if anyone's ever done like a full-blown arc of Superman with him like battling depression because of the people he can't help and like deal. But like, you see it from time to time. Like, someone will post like a page of him like I just saw one the other day of him talking about like, I keep trying to do good and I can only do so much. And there is a certain thing of like, you can't start to convince yourself that you're like a savior, that you're like a mental health crusader, because all we can do is talk about it. My mom passed away when I was 21, but she used to say, all you can do is all you can do. And that, like, to me became one of my big, like, kind of mantras, is that at a certain point you have to know your own limitations. You have to know what all you can do is, because otherwise you start to think like, why aren't I doing more? I wish I could fix it. You know, Teresa and I had a conversation about like seeing, you know, kids separated from their families and stuff, and like, well, what can we do? And really trying to figure out what we could do, right? Because like, what I want to do is go kick open doors and like bring a bunch of kids out with me and return them to their parents, but like, I can't do that. So what can I do? And then not feeling guilty because I can't do the things I can't do. It's tricky, man. Like, there is no like, well, looks like I got it all figured out. My mental health journey is done.
Right. No, yeah.
Well, I wrapped it all up.
We've done it. And that's really what this show is about finding that solution and relishing in the fact that we know it and no one else does. So,
and if you want to know the secret to mental health, 10 payments of $5.99.
Exactly. 10 payments of $5.99. That's money for us. And I'm talking $5.99.
Yeah. Well, that's how you get them, because then you have like shipping, but shipping is like $800.
Yeah, there you go. It's plus shipping and handling. Well, as always, if you have a mental health check-in you'd like to share, an idea of how we can encourage you, feel free to email us over at isthisadultingpod@gmail.com. We'll remind you we are not professionals, but we are happy to read your email. And more importantly, join the Best Friends group on Facebook. There's about 500 of us in there, and it is just a place where people can come, and if they need to get something out and say something, they can. If they need a word of encouragement, they can get it there. If they want to post a funny video of something their dog did, they can also post that there. And so it is just the Is This Adulting Best Friends. It's a fun little spot. Come check it out. All right. It's time. It's time to dive into our first topic. And so I warned Travis, and by warned him, I told him, don't prepare anything for this.
And I did.
And so, Chris, do you want to let everybody know what's about to happen? Because I think some folks here are going to catch on real quick.
Well, as I like to say, Travis, I'm a person that has many opinions, and sometimes I just need to get those opinions out. But other times I need help, and I need help getting some thoughts of both sides to see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. And, you know, I decided maybe I'm struggling with some narcissistic things as well, but I've decided to become a judge. And so that's what I've done. And so this is what we call the People's Court. So are you ready?
I was born ready. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I was born ready.
Just wait.
Yeah.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Christopher. The plaintiff, Travis McElroy. When he's not rushing in as Magnus Burnside's doing podcast or being a father, he's slowly building a foolproof case against his brothers, Justin and Griffin, to prove in the court of law that the middlest child is the rightful heir to the Clint McElroy fortune. The defendant, Stephen Pappas. He's just your average, run-of-the-mill, basic B. Who will better argue their case in the people's court? Oh gosh, I can pause. 1 second. I have sound effects and everything. Get ready for this. Yeah, this is a real gavel, just so you know.
Whoa, sick.
One of our listeners sent it to us.
This is a courtroom, so shut up. All right, here we go. This is how this works. I'm going to say a statement. It might be a true or false statement. It might be a which is better, this or that statement, whatever it might be. I'm going to have both of you have a little bit of time to debate amongst yourself. Now, you don't have to choose opposite sides. You can be of the same mind, but at the end of the day, I am the voice of the people, so it only counts if I agree. It's as simple as that. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes.
Sure.
So recently I've been watching Westworld, which is a very popular show, and it's made me start to think about this one little thing, and that is true or false, living in the wild, wild west would be fun. Steven, why don't you start us off?
No, dysentery. Done.
just
Done.
That's your answer.
No, not into it. First off, just to spew my agenda, Wild Wild West, very kind of gross, skeevy, patriarchal society. Not down with that.
That's true.
Also very, very racist.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Even the Will Smith version is still problematic.
Yes. It is dirty. It's smelly. There's shit everywhere. Let's be honest. And to top it all off, again, dysentery. I remember playing Oregon Trail. I remember. We all remember. And it's terrible.
That is a pretty common part of Oregon Trail. That's true.
And there's snakes everywhere. I'm not down with this.
All right, Travis, your rebuttal.
Well, I actually agree, though I will say there's one kind of upside to it, and that is that during the Old West, there was little in the way of, like, toxic masculinity. Don't get me wrong, it was still there, but the difference is that, like, men being friends were really comfortable displaying physical affection with one another, like sitting in each other's laps, walking around holding hands, like kissing each other's cheeks, like just they didn't see anything wrong with it. That said, there was plenty of other toxic masculinity, don't get me wrong, but I will say that the problem is that a lot of what we think of as the Old West is romanticized from film and TV and was not exactly how it works. So for example, I think statistically there was like one ever shootout in like a street, like of two people squaring off and drawing against each other. Like that maybe happened once. That is not a thing people did. Now there were shootouts like the OK Corral that happened, but the idea of like a duel where like you drew again, that was not a thing that happened in the Old West. And like most of the water was like undrinkable. And like the beer and whiskey and stuff was gross, because But anyways, I think that what we think of when we think of the Old West, for example, the most common hat in the Old West was a bowler hat, not a cowboy hat. The Stetson and the cowboy hat didn't come until much, much later, and it got popularized because people wore it in TV and movies. So like, I don't think it would be fun because I don't think we are even picturing the right thing.
Well, I have to say, the judge is kind of surprised because this is the two most educated answers that he has ever been given when we've done this. So I'm a little bit thrown off by such valid arguments. So the ruling is in. True or false, living in the Wild Wild West would be fun? False! Of course, there's nothing to do. What do you want me to do? Play horseshoes? Sit inside? Sit outside? And there's dust everywhere. I'm allergic. Do I get to bring Claritin? That is my real question. Probably not. So no way in the world would I find myself in the Wild Wild West. I'm sorry, Will Smith. we're going to keep going. This next one is a very special one, dedicated to you, Travis, because it's something that you'll know that many people that are listening will not know. And so we'll start with you, Travis. Which is better, regular chili or Cincinnati chili?
It's 1,000% regular chili. Like, okay, I have recently been yelled at in a food market here in Cincinnati because I was very vocal about not caring for Cincinnati style chili. I have been told if it is made really well, it's like so there's like Skyline where, but it's like fast food chili, right? That's fast food Cincinnati chili. Apparently there is like gourmet Cincinnati chili that is good. So basically the difference is Cincinnati chili is actually closer to like a meat sauce that one might place on spaghetti. And in fact, that is one of the more common ways that it is served on spaghetti. But it has kind of a like cinnamony, sugary, chocolatey taste to it.
Yes.
And the thing is I think that if you presented it to me as like spaghetti sauce or meat sauce, I wouldn't mind it that much. It's the problem is people's insistence that it's chili, and it is not chili. It is not that. It's like when you take a drink of soda expecting it to be Coke and it's Dr. Pepper, and there's nothing wrong with Dr. Pepper. You just weren't expecting Dr. Pepper. That's the problem. So regular chili is better.
Okay, Steven.
I've never had Cincinnati chili, but everything you're describing does not sound appealing to me. So if I'm going to have a bowl of chili, I want a bowl of chili, not a bowl of sauce.
Right.
Like I want that good, chunky, delicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have just illuminated a point for me that I've never been able to make in my life, and now you have helped me completely disprove the Cincinnati chili as chili argument. Thank you so much, Steven.
Yeah.
Because here's the problem. Nobody eats straight, plain Cincinnati chili. It goes on spaghetti. It goes on hot dogs, whatever. Nobody just gets a bowl of Cincinnati chili and eats it by itself. Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm just saying, like, okay, so the thing I'm picturing is a lot like the chili that you put on hot dogs at, like, baseball games and stuff like that. That's like a meat condiment. That's not, chili is like a soup. It's a stew. If I'm going to have chili, it's got to have peppers and onions and beans and beef, and it's all, or turkey, nice turkey chili.
I've had a really good vegetable chili before that was like hearty as I'll get it with like potatoes and stuff.
Ooh.
It was good.
We could do a whole segment of this show called Chili Talk right now because I'd be down. I love chili.
We in Huntington had a lot of food festivals in my hometown, and one of them was Chili Fest. And, like, they would block off, like, 4 or 5 blocks and then, like, have a street fair where people competed and made different kinds of chili. And, like, you would buy, you know, little tickets and cash in and get a tiny bowl of it. And, like, I love chili. And I love just about every form of it except, I think, Cincinnati chili.
Well, let me ask you, while we're on chili, before we move on to the judge's ruling, how you feel about that chili? Do you want like a 5-alarm chili? You want to burn your mouth off? You want a little heat?
I don't like. Yeah, I like a little heat, but I in general don't like spicy foods because I really like flavor. And so if I'm distracted by heat, like that seems like just a challenge thing to me, as opposed to like I enjoy in fact, like not just like chemical heat, but also like heat. I don't like to eat my food like piping hot. I like it to cool down a little bit. I like to sit for like 10 minutes before I eat it, so that I can really taste everything and savor everything without burning my mouth.
And honestly, something you don't know about me, Travis, that our entire audience knows. I only eat food cold once it's cooled off. I never reheat anything ever.
Oh, me neither.
Oh, my God. Everybody thinks I'm a monster.
No.
Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, I'm going to need you to just hear what was just said.
Yeah.
Travis McElroy.
I eat everything. Once I'm done eating a thing, right? If it goes into the refrigerator, I don't heat it up. I in fact sometimes I don't do this as much now because this is a young man's game. But I used to like if I went out to eat, I would order like 2 entrees, specifically intending to take one home, put it in the refrigerator, and eat it the next day. Like I really love cold leftovers. I enjoy it immensely.
Wow.
Oh, you're my favorite human.
This is a lot of validation for Steven.
In fact, Teresa and I, when we moved to LA, we sold our microwave before we went. Then we lived in LA for 2 years without a microwave. We didn't get another one until we moved back here. So like 2 years without a microwave, and at a certain point, like we just stopped noticing we didn't have a microwave. Like just wasn't a thing. Didn't bother me at all.
Well, what an interesting turn. I was not expecting you to find your soulmate, Stephen, with that. But it's now time for the ruling. Regular chili or Cincinnati chili? You're going to be upset because I'm going with Cincinnati chili.
Oh, no.
You're a
Yes,
demon.
You do
yes.
this.
See, you have to understand. I once, too, thought Cincinnati chili was gross. And then I had one of my friends from Cincinnati make real Cincinnati chili, and it changed my mind. And ever since, you know what? You know how you made the argument of saying no one eats that just by itself? I have actually had that just by itself.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know you're the judge, and I don't want to find myself in contempt. But it's okay if you like Cincinnati chili, but better than regular chili?
Here's
That's what I'm
the
saying.
problem. Here's my reason. Chili, there can be such a variation between good chili and bad chili, and because of that, Cincinnati is more consistent, and that's the reason why I have to go with it. Don't get me wrong. I
might have to file an appeal.
Wow. Well, hold on. Let me 1 second talk to the rest of the judges, and no, they agree with me.
Well,
Unfortunate.
it's fair. At least we went through the system.
Yeah, if nothing else, we know that our judicial system is definitely not broken at all.
Totally works.
All right, so the next one is another true or false question, and this is inspired by the fact that Travis, you and Teresa talk a lot about what is true manners, what is polite, what is not polite, those type of things, and so recently, I'm not going to say how this situation came up in my mind, but I think you'll be able to figure that out pretty quickly. True or false? When you've just released a silent but deadly fart in a public area, where the whole room clearly notices, you should take ownership. True or false? Stephen, you go first.
Here's the thing. I'm fairly into the ownership, but how public are we talking? Like, is it just like me and my wife somewhere, or are there a lot of people?
No, I'm talking about public. The whole room notices.
Oh, yeah, no, that could be anybody. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take ownership for that at all. I'm just going to let everybody in the room have that same thought of somebody did that, but it wasn't me. It could be any one of these other 40 people, and then none of us really ever get blamed.
Okay.
Here's the thing about manners, and politeness and etiquette and all that stuff. So this is what I truly believe, and I think that I have the cred to back it up, having done manners for a couple of years now, is that manners is not a guide to judge others by, but rather a roadmap for ourselves in situations in which we find ourselves unsure of what to do next. So, for example, the reason you learn table manners is so that when you attend a dinner, you are able to focus on the conversation and time with everyone, and instead of worrying about what you're supposed to do. And so I would say that the answer to this is it is completely situational. Because if I found myself, for example, on a subway car and I did this, I would not feel required to do this. However, if I were in a business meeting and it was, you could see everyone was being distracted, then I might say, excuse me, I've been having some trouble with my stomach. I'm going to go use the restroom and I'll be right back. Something along those lines. And address it, take ownership for it, apologize, and move past it. That is the time in which I think the best thing to do is to take ownership of it when it seems to be derailing the events and you want to get everything back on track. So say,
wow.
Excuse me, that was me, or, excuse me, and that's it.
You're a saint.
Travis, you have definitely passed as the most thoughtful of all of our attorneys as of yet for this, and so well done. But it's now time for the ruling, true or false. When you have released a silent but deadly fart in public and the whole room notices, you should take ownership. Hell no, you don't. Are you kidding me? No. You casually act like it took a minute to get to you, so other people have found it out first, and you're like, oh my God, but who is that, right? You have to go that direction. Because look, I'm not embarrassed by my farting. If anything, I'm proud of it. The problem is, I don't need that other person's judgment. Get those little beady evil eyes away from me. I'm gassy. Deal with it. And so because of that, it depends on the situation. But I still have to say no. If you can get away with where no one has any idea it was you.
What if it was friends? If it was a room full of close friends?
If it's friends, definitely. That's
okay.
That's a different story. I'm talking about in public with people that you don't know. I don't need their judgment. No. So because of that, that's why I have to go that direction. And now we're getting to the very end. And this is, I had a few personal items that I had to put on the docket, but now it's time. We had some listeners who provided a few, and so I'm really going to say two. It's really going to just be one, but one is an honorable mention. And so this comes from our listener, Candace Elizabeth, and it's something that I've never really thought much about before. But she says, true or false, all bottled water taste the same.
Okay. My answer is false. And that is because it depends on the source of the water. Because most bottled water you find is actually just from municipal taps. And it is bottled. It'll say bottled at the source or whatever. But really it is just from the same waters everywhere else. And the fact of the matter is, if you go to different states or even different cities, the water tastes different depending on how it is handled and how it is cleaned. And so I will say the different bottles of water, they're not wildly different. It's not I could tell the difference between orange juice and apple juice. Mm-hmm. But I think that if someone expresses a certain preference towards one bottle of water over another, I don't think that that's out of the question, considering that they are coming from different sources.
Travis, when you ever play trivia, do you destroy every time?
Well, I do pretty well. Here's the thing. I did a lot of speech and debate in high school.
Yes.
And listen, I wouldn't do 16,000 podcasts if I wasn't quick at thinking on my feet. This is the only skill I have. The only skill to my name that I'm confident on is present me a topic and I can talk about it for at least a half an hour.
Yeah. I'm quite impressed. Steven, it's now up to you. True or false? All bottled water tastes the same.
I feel like any answer I give after that is just going to be me going, water tastes bottled, same. No, okay, so here's the thing. Maybe it's in my brain, but for some reason, I had this experience the other day. I got a bottle of water from Sheetz. Shout out to Sheetz. Come to the South, y'all. And I picked up a bottle of water, and it was some sort of imported water. I didn't even think about it. I just grabbed it. It was some sort of imported water from Norway or something.
Ooh, bougie.
Yeah, shouts out to Anya and our other listeners in Norway. And I took a sip, and I was like, this tastes different. Maybe it's not. But it's the marketing, maybe, and they've convinced me that it's different and it's bougie water, and so now I think it tastes different. But there is one water that, if anyone tells you is their preference, they're wrong, and it does taste different from all the other water. We have been lied to for quite some time by the Coca-Cola company. Dasani, you're monsters. Don't drink Dasani, because if you look at the ingredients in all bottled water, what do you find?
Water.
You find water. When you look at the ingredients in Dasani, that is not what you find.
What do you find?
Water and sodium phosphate and salt. There is salt in that water.
Oh.
Now, I don't know what kind of benefits that could have. I think it's just to make you thirstier so you drink more water.
Yes.
So, why? Why are you doing that? And it tastes different, and I don't like it. So if you drink Dasani, I was just always going to go for it and be like, if you drink Dasani, then fuck you. No, that's not where I'm going now.
I do not care for either Dasani or Aquafina. And the thing about Aquafina that really bothers me is that it's just so clearly in a Pepsi bottle with a different label.
Right.
There's something about that's like, they won't even know. They'll never put it together. This is a soda bottle.
The big wigs.
I find it so insulting.
Well, interesting. So now it's time for the ruling.
One time my friend, it reminds me of one time my friend, I was leaving his house and I said, hey, do you have like a cup I could take with me? I'm really thirsty. And he grabbed an old, like a Subway cup from that day, like one of those like paper, like Subway soda cups, rinsed it out and put water in it and handed it to me. And I was like, this is clearly not what I meant. Your garbage from your meal is clearly not what I meant.
Did you drink
very nice. Of course I did. It was very nice of him. But it was just like, when I asked for a cup, I did not mean your old soda cup.
Well, the ruling is finally in. True or false? All bottled water tastes the same? False. You're right. Look, water comes from different places. It's going to taste different. Apple juice comes from different places. It tastes different. Soda, you can have Coke in 2 different parts of the world and it tastes different. So, do I agree that, yeah, it tastes similar-ish, but I mean, it's water, so there's only so much you can do to change it. But no, they do not all taste the same, and that is the ruling. And I have to tell you real fast, everyone, I had to bring this special case before you, not even to have you debate it, but more just, I felt it was important. No, I would say it's imperative that I address this as a legal member of the law. I think that's how we say it. I'm sorry, I'm still new at this. So from listener Sarah Schwartz, here was the statement that was said: clothes that people leave out for free on their front porch. Is it fair game or is it gross? Here is my response. Neither. Sarah, that's a felony, at least a misdemeanor. It's possible you're just stealing people's clothes. I don't know if you've ever heard this or not, but believe it or not, they have clotheslines, and some people like to air out their clothes. I'm very concerned that you have half of your wardrobe from not necessarily intentional theft, but unintentional theft. And there are people everywhere right now looking for the majority of their wardrobe. So, Sarah, I felt it was important as a lawman to say, be careful, because that's stealing.
And as a well-known crime boy myself, I just want to offer you some advice, Sarah. You're going to want to lay low. You're going to want to lay low for a while because you're probably in some trouble. I do believe that if you steal more than $30 worth of clothing, it is grand larceny. I'm not sure exactly how that works legally, but I do believe that's the case. It's $30 worth of clothes or $12 worth of clothes if they come from, let's say, a Nordstrom. So you're definitely going to want to lay low, maybe find an uncle, an aunt, somebody that can kind of put you up for a while because you're in trouble.
Sarah, I don't want to as a person that cares much about justice, I would never want to besmirch its name, but I would suggest as a friend, you may want to shave your head, dye a different color, move to Mexico because you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So please do not steal any more clothes.
And I will say, we do apologize for saying your first and last name after confessing your crimes to the internet.
Oh, good Lord. Uh-oh, that's true. Oops. Sorry about that. So, yeah, Sarah, good news. We're recording this a little early, so you're getting a head start.
She won't hear it until it's out.
Maybe we should give her a warning. Oops. Well, and look, and that's all the time we have for the People's Court. I'm going to go send a message to a friend. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's just a get out now.
You can do it. All right.
Oh, gosh. My bad, Sarah. My bad.
Well, we've done it. The Honorable Judge Christopher has spoken. Things have
Christopher,
been
do you
said.
also have a Tervis tumbler?
I do have a Tervis tumbler.
Cheers. Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't.
We're Tervis twins.
I'm just finding we have so much in common, the three of us.
We really do.
I have a
Except for
Tervis
Cincinnati
tumbler
chili.
in my kitchen, and I feel like shit that I'm not drinking out of.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it, but like, what the fuck?
Way to welcome our
Well,
guest, Steven.
I'll text my wife and be like, I need that Tervis tumbler in here right now.
Hey, if it makes you feel better, I bet you Sarah has about 20 Tervis tumblers.
She found on
somewhere.
someone's porch. Oh, God. All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Is This Adulting? This week, we want to say a huge thanks to our sponsor, Songfinch. So we've been talking about Songfinch for a few weeks. Songfinch is a personalized gifting company that brings stories, feelings, and memories to life through one-of-a-kind, radio-quality songs, with personalized songs starting at $99, delivered within a week, which is awesome. Their community of professional songwriters will handcraft the best gift you can give. Chris got one of these. We just received it last week. So excited for his friend and their kid. Here's a little bit of that song.
When I dream a world out there just waiting for you, just waiting for you. I can see all the things that you can do. You can be anything you want. Everything you need, you got. Just know we love you.
I love it. It's beautiful.
You crying? Because you should be.
I am crying. I'm crying pretty hard, and I was trying to hold it inside, but now everybody knows.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can cry too, you know.
I know. Crying, it's a show of strength, if anything.
Yeah.
So they have personalized songs. They're starting at $99. They're delivered within a week. They have over 350 professional musicians, and they're growing. And one of the cool things is we know who our musician was, because your song lives on a personal URL. It's called Your Story Homepage. You can listen to your song, download your song, read the lyrics, learn about your songwriter, and share your song with friends. So anybody can download it, take a listen. It's really cool. And so this is great for any occasions: weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, Valentine's Day, Christmas, newborns, and of course, Thanksgiving, because there's not really any good Thanksgiving songs.
True.
Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Old Tom Turkey is the only song I know, and I just made that one up. So if you want to write a Thanksgiving song called Old Tom Turkey, you're in luck, because you can go to songfinch.com, and when you get a personalized song from scratch, then you can use our promo code ADULTING at checkout, and it's going to get you $20 off your personalized song. So if you get a personalized song from scratch, use our promo code ADULTING. That's songfinch.com. Promo code is ADULTING. Thanks. It was crazy. Anyway.
It wasn't crazy. That was the story.
Yeah,
you made it sound wet and wild.
Oh, you wouldn't believe it.
They did some crazy shit with the water.
They would drink it.
That's all
That
I
was
got.
it. Yeah, that was it.
All right. Well, we're back. And it's game time, because we have not yet played our game. And Christopher, if I'm correct, we're about to play a fan favorite.
We are. I brought out all the stops for you, Travis. And ironically, I recently realized, we've been doing this game for a while, and another way that we're connected without me knowing is because I was a little bit later to all the McElroy shows, and so I did not know that you have done. We have a very similar mind, and you'll understand in a second why from a bit that you used to do quite a bit. And let me just tell you this: I'm a lover of music. I always have been. I just love everything about it. I'm also a lover of Mad Libs. And those two things combined can be a very special thing. And so what I do is I take popular songs from throughout time and history, and we really F them up is the best way of describing it. And so something that I call rad libs. Ironically,
nice.
It's so fun. I had no idea that you did sad libs until pretty recently.
Do you guys know the story behind sad libs and why I did them?
No, why?
I can't remember if I've ever talked about this on air before, but basically what happened was we had set up a recording time, and Justin and Griffin were both like super late and like texted me like, hey, it's going to be like 35 minutes. And I was like, but I'm sitting at my computer. So I hopped on Twitter and I asked if there were any words people would want me to sneak into the episode. And like I got like 100 responses, and so rather than try to sneak them into the episode, I just wrote something, and Justin and Griffin hated it so much, and I thought it was so funny that they hated it, and it was a punishment for them being late that I kept doing it.
Well, then this is special for you. They may hate it, but I hope that you love this. And so this is how we're going to do this. I'm just going to run through and back and forth. I'm going to ask you to come up with whatever words you're inspired by, and we're going to fill them in there. And then at the end, I'm going to sing it to you. But you're not going to know what the song is until after we filled it out, okay?
Okay.
So how about this? Steven, why don't we start with you?
Okay.
I want you to name me something that is gross and crunchy.
Earwax? It's not.
Earwax?
It's not
Okay.
crunchy.
I mean, if that's the answer you want, you're more than welcome to.
I just say whatever pops in my head. What is gross and crunchy? This is really good audio.
We can do earwax if you'd like.
Let's say
Stick with the earwax. I want to see how it goes.
All right, let's
crusty
do it.
earwax.
Ooh, okay. All right. Crusty. No, let's do earwax. Let's go.
Keep it
from the
pure.
beginning. Yeah, I like that. So, all right, Travis, your turn. I want you to name a group of people that have like a specific interest, like a group that does the same type of hobby or the same beekeepers. I love it.
I know we have at least one listener that will be very excited that the beekeeper community is getting a shout out.
Yeah,
Apiarists.
ironically, it's my friend who made Cincinnati chili for me.
Oh,
so
really?
he's over here being like, hell yes. All right, Steven, this is gonna the next couple are gonna be a fun one. Name me a unique instrument.
A stump fiddle.
Okay. Do you want to describe what that is really fast?
Yes, a stump fiddle is basically a large stick with a rubber stopper on the bottom. There's a tambourine attached. There's springs running all the way down it to pie pans filled with unpopped popcorn, and it makes all sorts of weird percussive things in bluegrass music.
There you go.
Yep, there you go. For all you stump fiddle fans out there. Next one, Travis, I'm going to need a lubricant of some sort.
I'm going to say, well, there's obvious ones I could go with.
Yeah, but go for something a little bit more unique.
I'm going to go with axle grease.
That's a perfect one. That's a really, really great one. All right, so next one. Steven, tell me an item that's pungent. And while you're thinking of that, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Travis, name somewhere that you would not expect to find Carmen Sandiego. So, Steven, I need something that is pungent.
Sex Panther.
Sex Panther. Oh, yeah, from Anchorman.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Works 80% of the time, all the time.
All right. I want you to think of a type of container while I'm getting the answer from Travis.
Okay.
So, Travis, somewhere you wouldn't expect to find Carmen Sandiego.
Right behind you.
Ooh. Oh, my gosh. She's a murderer. I should have known this whole time.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect answer for this one, too. All right. While I'm getting Steven's answer, Travis, give me something most people wouldn't consider as a collectible. All right. So, Steven, type of container.
Not gonna lie to you, the only thing that popped in my head was a body bag.
Body bag? Yeah. And I like that one. That's pretty good. All right. How about you, Travis? What's something most people wouldn't consider a collectible?
Recliner.
Wow. Okay.
You didn't meet my grandfather.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Steven, give me a type of career.
A type of career.
Anything. Not beekeeper, that we already have done the beekeeper.
Just to pull from an old rad lib, fluffer.
Fluffer. Okay. Wow. All right.
Like someone who fluffs pillows?
Yeah, sure.
I wish. All right. Travis, I'm going to need the name of someone that you just would expect to be a real douchebag.
Dave Matthews?
Dave Matthews.
You're not wrong.
Okay. Like, I like how you went for full name, not even first name.
Dave Matthews?
Okay.
Listen, there was a time in my life where I enjoyed DMB. So, like, I don't need anybody tweeting me. He just seems like he's the kind of guy who'd sit there and be like, okay, Dave. All right, we get it.
We get it.
Okay.
We understand.
Cool. One time he told this whole story, I think in a live show, about, like, he was hanging out in Africa with some people, and he said he was starving, and they corrected him and said, like, hey, there are people who are actually starving here. And he said, like, really makes you think. Like, end of story. Like, okay, Dave.
Dave, know your context. You should have already known that.
Yeah, Dave. Like, that's just a story that makes you look bad, bro. Like, that's not. It's not a good story.
Why don't you dump some more shit on people from your bus?
I'm in support of doing that instead. So, Steven, I need you to give me a weird alibi to have.
I was plowing the fields.
That's a very Dwight Schrute answer, but I like it quite a bit. All right, Travis, I need something weird only rich people would be able to buy, or something only rich people would buy, whatever you want to say.
Bidets.
Ooh, how do you even spell bidets? I don't even
Bidets.
Travis knows his bidets.
I've got one myself. I'm not rich. I just enjoy a bidet.
I've never experienced a bidet. Can
I
you
just
describe-
like clean
can you
feeling.
describe
Game
this to me?
changing. They're amazing.
I feel like at a later point I want to have a conversation with you about bidets because
You got it.
I don't know much about them.
Maybe
All right.
during our next topic that could play into it.
It's a good, it will fit in.
Steven, I want a unique way someone might describe the taste of a wine.
Jammy.
Jammy. I don't know if I'd want that type of wine, but that's
That's a pretty common one, actually.
Is it? All right, maybe so. All right, Travis, a funny place or location to get stuck.
Funny place or location to get stuck?
Yeah.
On the bidet.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it. I've had a good feeling that was going to happen.
Is it? Can you get stuck on a bidet?
I mean, it's like a toilet seat. I'll talk about mine in a second, Steven.
Okay,
Quit trying to pry the secrets of my bidet out of me.
I'm so curious. Well, it sounds like we need to pry your bidet out of you.
Ah.
All right, Steven, give me a conspiracy theory.
I should know this. I love conspiracy theories.
I know. That's why I gave it to you.
I'm just gonna. Oh God! Shooter on the grassy knoll. I went with the basic one. Why did I do that?
I will say, though, maybe one of the less problematic ones you could have gone with.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true. All right, I'm just fixing a few things to be able to make that work. All right, so this time I'm gonna go with you for the same question. I need a type of container. One more time, Travis.
Type of container? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say fanny pack.
That's a good one.
Really solid one. And Steven, I think this is the last one. Something that shouldn't be put in a juicer.
People. Am I wrong?
No, I think that we can all make a pretty bold statement here that we are all for at this podcast, and I imagine all McElroy podcasts as well. People shouldn't go in juicers. Mm-hmm. I think that we have this, and now it's time. So I tried to the best of my ability, Travis, to find a song that is somewhat connected to our guest. And now I want you to know, I know that this is not specifically your number one artist, but I know this is something that your brothers are quite passionate about. And so I decided to go with good old Jimmy Buffett for probably one of his most famous songs, and that's Margaritaville.
Oh, yes.
So we're now going to see a very, very different version of that. Are we ready?
Yes.
I'm going to try and
I already know where this is going.
Are you sure?
I already know where earwax is going to be.
All right, here we go. So it's time to channel my inner Jimmy Buffett.
Do I need to give you the?
I like that. Thank you. Nibbling on some earwax, watching the sun bake All of those beekeepers covered with axle grease. Strumming on my stump fiddle. That sounds really inappropriate. On my front porch swing. Smell those Sex Panthers, they're beginning to boil. Wasting away again right behind you. Searching for my lost body bag of recliners. Some people claim that there's a fluffer to blame, but I know, dun, 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 it's Dave Matthews' fault. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know the reason. I was plowing the fields. Nothing to show but this brand new bidet.
Nice.
But it's a real beauty. A jammy cutie. Here I got it. How I got here, I haven't a clue. One more time. Wasting away again on the bidet. Searching for my lost fanny pack of people. That's confusing. Some people claim that the shooter on the grassy knoll is to blame.
That's
but
fair.
I know. Dun, 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 dun. It's still Dave Matthews' fault.
I love it.
Margaritaville.
Very good.
It's a very different type of song, but I still think it's pretty good.
What are we
think you
calling
nailed
that
it.
song?
Dave
On the
Matthews
bidet?
right behind you.
On the bidet? No.
Maybe so. I don't know.
Okay, so here's the thing about a bidet. Let's talk
Okay.
about bidets.
Please
The
tell me.
style I have, one, Justin got me for Christmas, and he was
So
certain
sweet.
I would love it, and he is correct. And here's the thing: it is a seat, right, that goes on your pre-existing toilet, and then you connect it to the water, like the same hose for the toilet.
Sure.
And it has a little on. Now, this is where the terminology starts to make people like, what? But don't react. Just picture. Like,
Okay.
there's an arm that comes out, sprays water onto your nethers, then the arm retracts, right? So,
Okay.
a couple things about the bidet. Less abrasive on your skin. Doesn't waste as much paper.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And in general is like cleaner, right? Because like you're not just wiping with dry paper, like you're washing,
That's
you're like
true.
taking a small bath. I think that's one of those things that when people think about, they're like, this will be weird. But like you don't think that when you're getting in the shower, but at that point you're spraying water all over your body, right? And
That's true.
not weird to you at all. So for whatever reason, people picture like central, like localized bathing as being very strange. But like I think of it as like washing my hands, right? But like my hands are definitely cleaner than my nethers.
Okay,
But
so I do have
we
a
would
couple
hope.
questions for you then.
Yeah,
One, how cold is the water?
you can set the temperature on mine at least.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Oh, okay. That's kind of a game changer because that's one of the parts for me that makes me uncomfortable is icy cold water just
No.
going straight
On
my
mine,
special place.
You can set the temperature, you can set the pressure of the water, and you can set the placement of the arm. So, like, if you need the nozzle to come out farther or like less far, and it has different settings, is like I said, game changer. It is amazing.
Is it easy to clean?
Well, it is self-cleaning.
Self-cleaning?
Yes, you have options to clean it and that kind of thing. So, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's a great investment and a wonderful way to spoil oneself. Now, the only downside is when I'm traveling, I miss it so.
You're like, what am I supposed to do? I feel like a peasant using dry
I love
paper.
it. No, I don't feel clean. I'm out in there in the world just
wow.
like, I'm not done. Like, I'm not clean. I'm not as clean as I am at home. I miss home.
So is it worth it if it's going to half the time that you have to use the bathroom? Mm-hmm. Just ruin it for you?
Well, here's the thing. I love my bidet. I do. Here's the thing. This is going to be a good transition into my topic. I want to talk about
is true.
self-care, right?
That's true.
And here's the thing about self-care. Is, okay, this is the tricky thing. This is the tricky thing, right? Self-care, the difficult thing is figuring out not what you want and not necessarily what you need, but what is it that you need that you want? And what is it that you want that you need, right? And this is why it's difficult, right? Because I think a lot of people mistakenly think of self-care as like, I'm going to eat all the ice cream in my house. And maybe maybe at that point, that is the thing that you want that you need. But what you really have to figure out is, do I just want this and it will actually make me feel worse? Mm-hmm. Or is this the thing that I want that is actually what I need in this moment? Because sometimes the thing you have to think about, what is the thing that you want that you need, and what is the thing that you need that you want? So, for example, I woke up this morning and, like, I didn't, like, want to go on a walk. But what I wanted to do was to feel awake and feel healthier. And so the thing that I needed, that I wanted, was to go on a walk.
Sure.
So that I would feel good about it. And so, like, I very rarely am craving salad. But it's the thing that I need, that I want, that will make me feel better, right? Because that's the other thing. It's not always exercise. And it's not always salad.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people convince themselves like, well, I'll be healthier if I exercise, or healthier if I eat this salad, so that will make me feel better. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you exercise and you don't feel better because that's not actually what you needed or what you wanted. And this is the tricky thing, right? So, like, the thing that I have found is that when I make the choice to do something for myself that is kind and that is something I would give someone else, because that's the thing, right? If I had a friend who is sad, would I say that the way to fix their problem is to eat all the ice cream in the house? Maybe. Maybe, but it depends on the situation, right? If I looked at my friend and I was like, actually, I think that maybe that's a little self-destructive right now. And maybe, hey, let's get out of the house. You know, let's go see a movie. Let's go for a walk. Let's go do something, right? What's the thing that I would advise someone else to do? And then I do that. So I'm not giving it, because here's the thing, Steven, you talked earlier about like being valid and trying to remind you. The problem I have is like, I like to reward myself. I will say like, well, I ate a salad for lunch, so I can have cheesecake for dessert. And that's not really how that works, right? Because it's not, or like, well, I exercised for 3 days, so today I'll take a nap instead. And that's not really how that works, right? So that's not actually taking good care of myself. It is rewarding basic thing, like paying bills. I'll reward myself for it. And it's like, no. You don't get a reward for that. That's just a thing you have to do. But then still finding a balance of like, okay, well, maybe self-care is like taking a break. Maybe self-care is making sure I brush my teeth. Maybe self-care is making sure you take your medication. That is a thing I have to really stay on myself for. And like, self-care doesn't mean like you're going to give yourself a spa day every day. And self-care doesn't mean like every day you're going to go on a shopping spree to feel better. It really just means like taking care of yourself, and in whatever form that is. Because that doesn't mean always like, well, I better go run 5 miles if I want to take care of myself. Because while that can be good for you physically, maybe that's not what you need in that moment to take care of yourself. Because sometimes a nap is what you need to take care of yourself.
Sure.
And I think one of the things that I have really been working on is trying to find where the line is of like, this is a thing that I actually want and need versus a thing that I just like want to do, right? So like, will a nap actually make me feel better? And all of those things. It's really tough, because the thing is I'm very good at being nice to myself. And sometimes I'm very good at being hard on myself. But the thing I'm not good at is saying like, hey, this isn't a thing you have to worry about. I'm not very good at like being easy on myself. And it is one of the things that has really helped me now is like I work from home. And so like BB is here in the house. And so like if I ever feel myself getting overwhelmed by like reading about current events or stuff like that, I just get up from my desk and for like 5 minutes, I just like go look at BB. And like I find that very nice. Or I meditate, or I listen to ASMR videos, or I find that listening to ASMR videos while I'm working lets me focus better.
Same here, man. I do that all the time.
And this is a thing I learned in college. So part of my thing with ADD is like I actually can focus better if I have like music playing and maybe a TV show on and like the window open. And like, so the more stuff I have, the way I think of it is the more I have to distract the distractible part of my brain with, then the part of my brain that wants to focus can focus. But if we're sitting there like two roommates, right? And so if there's nothing to distract the distractible part is distracting the part that wants to focus.
Yeah.
And so like doing stuff like that is like, oh, you know what? I figured out what the process is. Because this is a thing that I am a big advocate for. So like growing up with ADD, one of the things that my mom really, really pushed me on was like, okay, but like, it's not you. This is a thing that is a thing you have to deal with, but like it doesn't define you, that kind of thing. And so like I remember once having a conversation with her where I was like, oh, did you know that I could take the SATs untimed because I have ADD? And she's like, yeah, but you don't need to. And I was like, but I mean, why not? I could. And she's like, because you do not need to do that. You don't need to take it, so like don't. And I was like, okay. And like it really was this thing of like, yeah, you know what, she was absolutely right too. Like I destroyed the SATs and the ACTs because I'm quite smart and narcissistic. But like that kind of thing of like, so along with taking medication, one of the things that we really, really she constantly worked on with me was not just relying on medication to fix it, but also like coping mechanisms, taking a break before I responded to somebody's questions, like taking a breath, thinking before I spoke. And like, so my mom would be talking to me and I'd start to talk and she'd go, okay, wait, you can talk as soon as you tell me what I just said. And I would sit there and go, and she's like, okay, then you can't talk. And so like, I had to get better about paying attention to the person that was talking to me. And so those kinds of like coping mechanisms, and I hate using the term coping mechanisms because that sounds like I'm saying crutch, but like rather than just saying like, well, I suck at this because it's more difficult for me to do this than for other people, like I trained at it and got better at it. So actually like when I graduated college, I went off my ADD medication because one, I had always taken the lowest dose available because I just needed a little bit. And two, I started working in creative fields like theater and podcasting and stuff. And so without having to like study or learn, I found that there were parts of ADD that were actually very beneficial. So being able to think on my feet and speak on a topic extemporaneously, like that's all because my brain is thinking 8 words ahead while my mouth is talking. And so like being on medication affects my ability to do that. And so it makes me more focused, but I think affects my rhythm a little bit. I don't know. It's a personal choice. That said, I would never go off my antidepressants because that is different. But that was a choice that I made, you know what I mean? And like, I think about it all the time. Now, like, I'm constantly kind of going back and forth in my mind of like, should I go back on my medication for ADD? Because the thing that becomes very frustrating, and I think anybody on a mental illness journey or anybody who thinks about this kind of stuff has been frustrated by this, of like having moments where you think, okay, is that me feeling that way? Or is that this part of my mental health feeling that way?
Right.
And at a certain point, yeah, like, and here's the thing. I think a really important thing to remember about mental health is it's not separate. It doesn't define you, but like ADD is not a passenger in my brain. It is part of my personality. If you removed it, I would be a different person.
Right.
And so like, it's not like, well, that's ADD. That's not how that works. But it is like, I guess a different way to put it is, would a person who does not have ADD still feel this way? would a person who isn't prone to depressive episodes, would they still be as upset about this thing? Is a person, because one of the things that really goes along with ADD is very high comorbidity, is like frustration issues, which was actually the reason I started going to therapy, was like I found myself so frustrated by everything because like everything was affecting me. And what happened was I was getting frustrated at BB because like I didn't know what I was doing, and she would be screaming because she was a baby. And I would be like, why am I frustrated? I am a monster. I should not be frustrated at my baby. This is wrong. And so I went to therapy, and she, like, one of the first things she said is, I'm saying, like, I'm frustrated. She's like, well, yeah, of course you are. It's frustrating. And I just started crying because, like, just hearing someone else say, like, you are not a monster. I would feel this way, too, was, like, so cathartic to me. Of sometimes, listen, you don't go to therapy to be told what is wrong with you. You go to therapy to talk about how normal it is to feel the way that you do. Yeah. And so I now advocate like everyone should go to therapy. And a lot of people say like, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with me. And it's like, okay, cool. But wouldn't it be nice to have someone say, you're great? Like at least once a year, you go to a checkup at a dentist, you go to a checkup at a doctor, you get an eye exam. Like, why not do the same once a year, talking to a mental health professional? Even if you don't think there's anything wrong with you, get a checkup. Because the other thing is like, I started going to therapy to deal with frustration issues and found out I was battling depression and did not know it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, that kind of shit is like, okay, cool. Everyone should, because I think about this stuff so much now, and it started with like podcasts and talking to other people and my kind of interest in it for other people. So a lot of the information and thoughts I have about mental health now and like self-care and taking care of yourself have to do with like me thinking about it towards other people, right? Which then when I started thinking about the idea of self-care as what would I tell someone else to do, like, and applying that to myself was revolutionary to me, because there's so much of like, here's the reason that self-care gets pushed, not because you should spoil yourself and not because it's an excuse to like eat whatever you want or sleep until 2 p.m. or whatever. It is literally advising someone to treat themselves as kindly as they would treat someone else going through this.
Sure.
You know, and like, because that is a thing. And it's one of the reasons that I tweet positive things all the time, is because people respond like, this is the most heartbreaking. I will tweet something like, I'm glad you're here. And people will occasionally respond like, he doesn't mean me. And like, you know, maybe that's trying to get attention or response from me or whatever. But I know that there are people that feel that way. And the thing is like, people are so nice to me. And if I tweet like, I'm having a bad day or I'm feeling a bit down, like the flood of support and positivity that I get is wonderful. And to think that they would be so quick to support me and that they would not turn it back around to themselves. I think that that's the thing, is like, so often people are much more forgiving, especially people, I will not say all people, right? This is not true of everyone. There are certainly people who are jerks, but I would say that there are very kind-hearted people who do not forgive themselves as quickly as they forgive others. And so, like, that's the thing, right? It's like the golden rule works both ways. So if you treat others how you would want to be treated, you also have to treat yourself how you treat others, right? So like, that's the thing. It goes both ways. And I think so very rarely do people think of themselves as deserving that, because here's the thing. Sometimes it's okay to be a little selfish, and sometimes it's okay to think about yourself before you think about someone else. Not all the time, not as a rule, but like, if you are burning yourself out trying to please everyone else, then you're not doing it right. You know, like it's okay to say, what do I need? What do I need to do for me? And listen, it's tough finding a balance between that. Especially I find it now is there like a constant struggle with being a parent of like, here is this child who I was just telling someone the other day, like, if I wake up ill, right? BB's 20 months old. She's not like, oh, okay, I get it, dude. You don't feel great. I'll take care of myself today. Like, that doesn't happen, right? And so it's finding, like, what is the version of self-care when I still need to, like, be a parent? What is the version of self-care when I still need to work? What is the version of self-care when I still need to travel? And then also not beating yourself up when you fuck up. Like, because that's the thing is, like, you just aren't always going to do a good job taking care of yourself. And that's fine. It's okay to forgive yourself, you know, and then try to do better the next time. I don't know. It's something I think about. I also feel like I have been talking for the last, like, 25 minutes straight.
No, that's all right. That's all right. It's funny that you want to talk about this because self-care has, I mean, I'd probably say it's been the story of both me and Steven's life for the last year or so. I mean, just to kind of give you a quick update, I won't run too far into it. Some of the listeners already kind of know this, but I've had a really interesting past couple years from a career standpoint. I've been in several helping professions, and I was a social worker. I worked as a teacher. I've been a pastor. I've been a lot of different things, and many of them ended, unfortunately, very traumatically. And I learned something about self-care in that moment that I had never learned before, and that was, as you were kind of talking, I stopped seeing it as this one-dimensional thing where it was more about pampering yourself. I realized that self-care could be a very painful sacrifice, where in my case, in order to care for myself, in order to still be a good spouse, to be a good family member, a good friend, a person who could function as a human being, I had to leave stability as I knew it. And it required me to do something completely different and really kind of like, you know, take a leap that I was not expecting to have to take. And with that came financial sacrifices. With that came different stresses altogether within itself. But for me, I think that's been the thing that I've really been understanding more is I stopped seeing self-care as this one-dimensional thing where literally we have to understand it as it is a necessity in order to continue to live. And like the only way that you can be a good father to BB, the only way that I can be a good husband to Kate, you know, like whatever that might be, the only way you can be a good son to your mom, Stephen, like, is if we are functioning as a person.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I've really been having to come to grips with. And for me, the way I've been doing that is trying to do better at listening to my body. And unfortunately, the only time I tend to listen well is when it's a little bit too late, where my body starts to shut down, or it's just like panic attack, or you fall asleep for 15 hours because you're so exhausted, or you get incredibly sick and you have to go to the doctor. I would like to listen to my body before it gets to that extreme, but that's the type of thing that I'm trying to understand more as of it being a non-negotiable, it not being like a nice thing just because, but realizing this is the only way that you cannot function if you do not eat. You cannot function if you do not drink. In the same type of way, you cannot function unless you take care of yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean a massage, but it could be at the same time. So that's been the real thing that I've been trying to wrestle with too. Just understanding that with it can come a lot of pain, because just because you start caring for yourself doesn't mean the guilt goes away of all the people that you're needing to take care of.
Well, and this is the thing, right? Of like, so one of the like best kind of piece of advice, one of the things that I try to do regarding self-care is I find that it helps if I really pay attention to patterns that I get myself into, right, where I could. So one of the things that I find myself doing is I overcommit to stuff. I'll say yes to things, and like I'll look at a schedule, right, and say, okay, well that's an hour and a half, and then that's an hour and a half, and then that's 2 hours. I can do all that. That fits. But then, like in real life, when I go to do those things, this starts 10 minutes late, and this runs over 15 minutes, and now I'm stressing and running out. And so, like one of the things that has become self-care for me is saying no to stuff I really want to do because I know I can't make it work. And it's heartbreaking. Like I got to go on the Joko cruise this year, but like last year, 2017, I was invited to go, and like, BB would have been like 3 months old. And you're not allowed to bring a baby that young. And I was trying so hard to like think of ways around it. And they were making really wonderful, kind offers. Like, well, we'll fly you to one of the ports of call. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm really stressing myself out over this, and it's not going to happen. And I need to just say no and let it go. And that hurt. I wanted to do it so badly. And the right thing to do for myself was just let go of the idea that I would be able to do it.
Yeah.
And like that is the thing I find myself more and more like, hey, you're not going to be able to do this, and you have to say no to this, and that has to be all right.
Yeah.
And that's really hard, but that's part of self-care, right? It's not about giving yourself everything. It's about taking care of yourself. Self-care, right? And so like good example, I love my dog very much. I take care of my dog very well. If I gave my dog all the food that she wanted, she would be ill. She would be overweight. And like, so I don't do that, right? Because I'm taking good care of my dog.
Yep.
And so then to not give myself that same care and attention that I give my dog, it just doesn't make any sense. And so like, that's the thing. I've lost like 10 pounds in the last 3 months, not because of a diet or any kind of restriction or anything, but because I realized that I have a tendency to eat when I'm bored, or like get more food on my plate than I actually need and eat past the point when I'm full. And just by like eating slower and starting with less and going back for more if I want it, I've lost 10 pounds.
Wow.
And so like, so that's not even about like diet and exercise and being thinner is better. It's literally just like what I would do is I'd sit down to dinner, and for 45 minutes after dinner be tired and sluggish because I'd eaten more food than my body needed. And so I would sleep badly, and like, you know, I would wake up feeling heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like thinking like, well, I love food and I'm going to be nice to myself, and yeah, you know what? I am going to have this piece of cheesecake because I deserve it. And then feeling like crap. And so like all of these things of like, I wouldn't do this to my dog. I wouldn't do this for my baby. I wouldn't be mad at my baby about this, because that's another thing too about self-care is like, it's forgiving yourself for shit and like letting yourself off the hook for shit and saying like, yeah, you know what? I messed that up, but like, anyone would have. Like, I didn't know that, and now I do, and I've learned from it. And knowing when to hold yourself accountable and when not to. And that's the other thing. Once again, self-care isn't about always letting yourself off the hook. It's knowing when to hold yourself accountable and learn from your mistakes and take responsibility from them. Because the thing is like, we grow and we learn about ourselves that... this is really dorky, but in Meet the Robinsons, they talk a lot about failure, and they talk about like the idea of like you learn from failure. And it's really wonderful to keep that in mind of like, if you succeed at something, then you already know everything. Like, you can't learn as much from success as you do from failure. So it's okay to fail, but like, you have to hold yourself, especially if it hurts somebody else, if your behavior is harming other people. That's another important thing about self-care. Sometimes self-care is thinking of others, right? Like, that's the thing, is self-care isn't one easily definable thing, because everything you do, brushing your teeth, taking a nap, eating, going to work so you can earn money, you know, all of that stuff, everything, start to finish, from the day you're born, is all self-care. Now, it might be bad. You might be bad at self-care. But like, you are literally taking care of yourself start to finish.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, something that me and my wife have been talking a lot about lately is, so I don't know if you've ever heard of Brene Brown, Travis. That we talk about her all the time on that show. Like, she's awesome. She's given TED Talks. She's an author. She talks about this type of stuff. And I don't remember if it was specifically something in her conversation or something that we read in relation to just these conversations of self-care. But the idea of someone saying it took a while for them to learn that what it takes to be an unconditional self-friend. Like, you're an unconditional friend to so many other people that, like, you never stop loving them. You will do whatever for them. There is no condition of that. Yet for some reason we don't do that same thing for ourselves, and providing that same love for ourselves without conditions. The condition of, well, maybe if I'm better, or maybe if I'm smarter, or if I'm funnier, or everyone else has such amazing things to contribute to this conversation and I don't. Being able to show that same self-compassion can be a painful thing, which sometimes requires you to have to go inward to be able to do. But yeah, I agree.
This is the thing, is I think too often people mistake self-criticism with self-introspection, right? They think that being hard on themselves is being analytical of themselves, and that it's not the same, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that it's really easy to criticize. It's really difficult to understand. And so if you are just judging yourself all the time, you're not actually learning anything about yourself. Because if I have made any growth in the last like 3 or 4 years, it is because I really think about not only what I am feeling, but why I feel that way, right? Mm-hmm. This is what's really come from this is, on my journey, I'm not going to say this is universal for everybody, but if you can find a partner, be it a friend or like for me, it's my wife, or just like a therapist or a relative or somebody, and really work on communicating with them about what you're feeling, it is amazing how much that brings into clarity for yourself, how you are feeling. Because one of the things that Teresa and I started doing from like basically day one is like saying, hey, I want to tell you if this thing is important to me or not. So like when we started dating, I went out all the time. I was working for the theater. And so, like, after shows, we'd go out to different restaurants or bars or whatever, or we'd just go back and hang out at somebody's house. I was very social, like 5 nights a week hanging out with people. And Teresa wasn't. Teresa would much rather, like, just stay home and, hang out. And so, basically, we had this conversation where it's like, okay, listen, here's the deal. I will always ask. I will always say, like, hey, is it okay if I go? And if you are okay with it, say yes. And if you are not okay with it, say no. Mm-hmm. And that is going to be that. And if you say no, I won't go. And if you say yes, I will. And then the other side of this was her saying to me, if I ask you to stay home and it's really important you to go to this thing, tell me. Right? Because us just feeling these things and bottling them. And so what it became is we would have these conversations like, hey, so they're going such and such. And Teresa would be like, I would really like it if we would just spend tonight together. Like, okay. Or like, hey, this is such and such's birthday. And I promised him I would go. Oh, okay. Yeah. Go to that. Right. Or me saying, and it's really important that you go to this with me. Right. And because we were saying that, we realized like maybe 1 in 20, 1 in 50 times there was any like friction over it, because we had set up like, okay, well, because there was one time where I went on a thing, and this was years later. I went on I traveled for something, and I came back, and Teresa's like, I told you that you could go to that, and I was frustrated that you went to it, but I told you could go, so next time I will be more honest with you. And not because like it is important to note, not because I'm like, well, that's your fault, baby, but like because that is everything we have had. And so what I have found is like, if I get mad at her, if I get frustrated by our relation or about something within our relationship, rather than just acting angry, I'll take a second to like really think about why it's bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the times the thing is like, the reason this is bothering me is because I was scared to tell you that this was important to me, or that this was a subject I was sensitive about, or because when I was a kid, I like was so nervous about this, and you couldn't possibly have known that. But I want you to know for the future that this kind of thing is something that is very important to me, or that I'm very worried about, or something like that. And taking that moment to think about how to communicate that to her helped me understand why I was feeling the thing that I was feeling. And that to me is like hugely helpful, because one of the things that I am a big proponent of is like, feelings are valid. Like if you're frustrated, if you're angry, or if you're happy or whatever, don't ever let anyone take that away from you and tell you like, how could you feel that way? Or like, well, just let it go or whatever. Like, no. If you're mad, if you're frustrated, you feel mad, you feel frustrated. Those are your feelings and they're yours. But I think that you got to couple that with then saying, okay, I'm allowed to feel this way. I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling this way? Because if you're just letting yourself feel it every time, you're not doing much to actually address the cause to not feel that way again. You're just kind of enjoying feeling your own feelings, which is fine. Sometimes I do that. I watch Pixar movies to cry. I like feeling feelings. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think it's important that if you find yourself getting frustrated about something, really think, and maybe it's not internalized, right? Like sometimes if I find myself getting frustrated at like a news story or something someone else has done, understanding what principles of my own this person violated or why that is important to me helps me understand something better about myself. When I was in college, I went through this weird kind of existential crisis where I realized like I was kind of such a social yes man, where like whatever group I was with, I would behave like them, not on purpose, but just kind of like naturally picking it up.
Yeah.
And like watch whatever TV shows those friends would be like, you got to check this out. That like when I was alone by myself in a room, I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I was like, right? I just kept kind of defining my own behavior by reflecting it from others. And so I started around like 21 or 22 looking for any kind of handhold where I'd be like, this is something I do like. And what it's led to is like, I know, like, listen, my favorite band is Fall Out Boy, and I am in no way embarrassed about that. And there will be, like, I remember every time I talk about it on, like, Twitter or something, people are like, are you kidding me? And it's like, listen, I'm not saying that because I think they're the greatest band in the world. They make me happy, and I enjoy their music. So, like, I don't really care if you like it or not. And so, like, those kinds of things of finding out, like, this is my favorite food. This is my favorite music. These kinds of movies make me happy. I don't like it when people do this. Like, those seem like such simple little, like, okay, like a thing a kid would fill out in 5th grade about themselves. But, like, really knowing that about myself then led to being able to address and ask myself much bigger things. You know, like knowing what my favorite food was. Okay, cool. Now I can think about like my favorite type of restaurant to go to. Why does that kind of restaurant make me more comfortable than this type of restaurant? Why am I more comfortable at this party than this kind of party? Why do I like hanging out with these people more than I like hanging out with these people? What is it about myself that I like when I'm with these people, and what is it I don't like? Is that something that I can change about them? Is that something that I can keep from changing about myself? And like going down these lines of questions helped me between the ages of like 21 and 24 really define in my own head who I was and gain a lot of confidence in that, of being able to, like, if I was at hanging out with friends and one of them said something that I found offensive or upsetting, I knew that about myself enough that I could be like, hey, That's not okay. Or, hey, I'm not going to hang out with that person anymore.
Right.
Rather than me like, well, they're from a different background and that's just kind of how they talk to each other here. And, I do it. No, you know what? Like, this isn't a malleable thing, because the thing about opinions, Tybee and I talk about this all the time in various different forms, also with each other, is like, opinions aren't facts, but they are yours. And so, like, if you are offended by something, that doesn't mean everyone is going to be, but it's okay that you are. If something upsets you, that doesn't mean everyone's going to be upset by that thing, but it's okay that you are. You know what I mean? Within reason, of course. Right. But, the idea of saying, like, well, I don't find that offensive. Like, okay, well, I do. Like, if you don't care that I'm offended, that's one thing. But, like, if we're friends and that's a thing that upsets me, you should care about that.
Yeah.
And so I've had a lot of weird journeys as far as self-care goes, of learning about myself. And the thing is only by being weirdly introspective about it, and at times obsessively, at times like spiraling, thinking about, like, why do I feel this way? Is this weird? Why am I so upset about this? I can't let go of this thing. But what it means is now it is this kind of weird, like, being distance that I can give myself on something of, like, I am mad about this. Okay, we'll take a second. It's okay to still feel mad, but why are we mad about this? And like that kind of thing makes it a little bit easier to kind of deal with that shit.
Yeah.
And my hope is it's one of the things that, like, so BB being 20 months, I don't want to be one of those dads that's like, having a kid really changes. Like, yeah, no fucking duh. But, like, for me, one of the things is, like, those frustration issues and, like, impulse control and getting mad about stuff and kind of being very self-centered. Those are not traits I want to model in front of my child.
Sure.
Right.
And those are not ways, that's not how I want her to think of me.
Right.
And so, like, thinking about it from that point of view, it's really weird to put it this way, but my self-care is run through the lens of thinking about someone else entirely. And, like, what kind of behavior I want to model for her, how I would want her to think of me, and, like, trying to be really honest about that with myself and think, like, would she be upset at me for this thing? And the thing is like, I kind of have those touchstones a lot. I still think about my mom that way.
Sure.
My mom is, like, the best person I have ever known. And so, like, I run through that of, like, is this something that mom would be proud of, or would she, like, be disappointed that I was doing this? But once again, this is the thing of, like, the weird recursive, infinity loop of self-care is you then can't go down the rabbit hole of then judging yourself if you fuck up. Because, like, so the other day, Buttercup barked at BB, and I yelled at Buttercup because it scared me, because I was surprised. And I realized, like, well, I just, like, raised my voice. And, like, I am, a big, giant person screaming in front of my baby. Like, that's not, but it's like, okay, cool. But, like, I wasn't throwing stuff around or anything. Like, okay, cool. You lost it for a second. But, like, it's cool, it's okay. And knowing when it's okay to let yourself off the hook, and it's all that, there is no, this is a thing I think about all the time as far as, like, dieting or parenting or self-care or mental health or any of these big kind of challenging discussions, is like, if there was a right way to do it, if there was a roadmap, if there was a checklist, somebody would have found it by now. And the thing is the answer is, it is literally different for everyone and different in every occasion. So, like, my self-care today isn't going to be your self-care today, and it probably won't be my self-care tomorrow.
Sure.
And so, like, knowing that, it's very much, to tie it all back, it's very much like manners and etiquette, right? It is not a guide that you can follow. It's a filter to think about as you're making decisions and doing stuff for yourself.
Definitely.
And that can be really tricky, right? Because then you're kind of constantly having to think about it. But that is a thing, like, this is one of the biggest, I think it's also very important when you're talking about mental health to find the strengths that you gain through what could be seen as like mental health issues. So like one of my strengths coming out of ADD is like now I can actively run filters as I'm doing stuff. Like there is a part of my brain that can be thinking, are you interrupting too much? Are you upsetting this person? How are they doing? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you like all of that while still talking?
Sure.
And like, so because I have a lot of practice at it.
Mm-hmm.
That said, here I am once again, I think talking for another solid 25 minutes.
I'm enjoying it. I'm just kind of like sitting back and taking like, I feel like I'm in a seminar that you're doing and I'm learning so much.
Yeah, it's fair. I can talk a lot and I'm really good at sounding like I know what I'm talking about. But the thing is like, I also want to say once again, like everything I'm saying and all the insight I have is from my journey and my experiences and that kind of stuff. Like, so for me, I find meditation really helpful.
Right.
Some people might not. Like, for me, I find spending time with friends really helpful. Some people might not. But in general, I think that the thing to kind of keep in mind is, so one of my biggest kind of existential crisis and one of my biggest depressions and anxiety, and it's still a thing I deal with constantly. And I'm sorry if this is triggering for anybody, but it's fear of death. And like, it is really a thing that like I will think about if I'm not careful. And that's why I'm being very careful right now.
Yeah.
It will be a thing that like creeps into my brain for hours and hours and hours. And I won't be able to stop thinking about. And the thing is like, it's really scary. Right. But it also is like, yeah, but literally everyone forever has dealt with the fact that at some point they'll die. Like, you're not the only person to be worried about this.
Right.
And like a lot of the things I've done and accomplished is out of a feeling of not knowing how much time I have. So I do a lot of stuff. This is why I overcommit to stuff. And I don't know. It's one of those things where I think, to keep using the same term over and over again, coping mechanisms don't have to be bad. They don't have to be crutches. They don't have to be, things that you do to hide yourself away or protect you. They don't have to be defensive mechanisms. They can be ways that, you get stronger because you have to work at something that might come more naturally to other people. And so for me, I really appreciate the things I get to do. And I really appreciate the moments that I have. And in a way that I wish I could take and give to everybody, right? Because this is the thing. I have depression, but I have never in my life had suicidal thoughts. Because for me, the idea of wasting one, like, and this is even like, enjoy the life we have. I'm so terrified of death that like, I just couldn't do it because like, not to be all Hamlet, but the fear of that is crushing to me. And so like, I love to be alive. I love to do stuff and I love to say yes to things, and I love to do that in such a way that like I know is kind of like a almost frivolous pursuit of trying to get as much living in as possible.
Sure. Because
I don't know how much time I have, but it has led me to saying yes and doing things that I wouldn't have done and trying stuff, and so like that's kind of my superpower from my strength is like I really like think about the moments I'm in. This is why meditation has been so good for me in that kind of thought process of being in the moment and thinking about that, because like the moment is all you have. And like I get really caught up. I'm very fascinated by the idea of time travel. And one of the things that I like to think about whenever I'm feeling existential dread or especially worried about something or anything like that is that we like to think about the past and the future as concrete things, right? As a thing that you could reach back and touch or reach forward and touch. But the thing is like, that's not true. We aren't leaving a trail behind us and we're not following a trail ahead. We're not stepping into the next thing. Literally every moment, every second is the only second that exists. And then it doesn't exist anymore. And the second ahead of it doesn't exist. It is not a line we are looking at. And it's not even a series of dots. It is just a single point in time that is all that exists. And so the idea of worrying about how bad you fucked up something in the past or like worrying about not getting enough future is kind of silly when you think about the fact that the past and the future literally don't exist. And I'm not saying live completely in the moment because that shit leads to like hedonism.
Right.
But there is something about keeping in mind a certain amount of, to use this word again, disconnect from the past and the future, where you still recognize that your actions have impact. There is consequences to your actions. And listen, if you fucked up in the past, you can make it right and you can deal with it and you can learn from it. But focusing too much on the past and the future means that literally you are not in the only second that exists. And like, especially now, not to keep bringing this point up, but like being a dad and looking at BB and being like, this is a moment I can't have again. The first time she walked, the first step she took, I just happened to be looking at her. And it is something I will, like, I'm about to start crying. It is something I will carry with me forever as one of the most amazing, both amazing moments, but like amazing gratitude that I just happened to turn my head at the right second to see her let go of the coffee table and walk over to the couch.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I could have just as easily been looking at my phone or thinking about something I had to do later or whatever. And I just happened in that moment to turn my head and look. And like that kind of thing for me is like, you're not always going to perfectly time that moment, but when that moment happens, be the fuck in it.
Yeah.
And like, don't, it's so incredible. There are moments in my life I wish I could go back and relive because I know I wasn't appreciating them as much as I should have. And knowing that makes me work harder to appreciate the moments that I'm in now and makes me continue to work harder to do what I can to appreciate moments in the future. And so finding some kind of balance of living in the moment while learning from the past and looking forward to the future, taking care of yourself while not sacrificing your relationship with other people and your effect on other people, and taking good care of yourself while not being too hard on yourself. I think all of that is like, if you can land that, that's what enlightenment is to me. It's like you might find one moment, maybe the rest of your life, where you can find a moment where you just are nailing all of it all at once. And to like have that even once, I think would be pretty damn amazing. But I also think that is not necessary. It's reaching for that goal is as good as ever attaining it. I study a lot about Zen. I don't know if that's coming through. But yeah, so that's self-care, I think. Any questions?
I just want to sit down and have a fucking beer with you.
We more or less just did, but it was water. It's fine. Self-care.
And I ran out of water, and I'm not part of the Tervis Tumbler crew, so like I'm really disappointed.
Hey, you can have some water later. It will be okay. And this is the thing, is like, here's the last thing I'll say, because I have been bloviating quite a bit and frankly really enjoying the sound of my own voice. And I was talking with Teresa the other day. I get really excited when I start talking about a subject and realize I'm confident in my knowledge of it. Right. Like I get like really amped up. So let me pull back a second and say this. I only feel confident speaking on this, not because I inherently know more than anyone else, and not because there's something about me that makes me better at like understanding my own mental health or talking to others about it, it is that one of my things is like talking, right? And so another really nice thing about ADD is it's really hard to second guess the things you're saying if you're talking faster than you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you get really good at like, if you're good at it, trusting yourself that like there will be something there when you open your mouth. But more than that, like the thing that I find over and over again, that is another skill that I wish I could give everyone that I have is, so for example, earlier you asked if like I was really good at trivia. And the answer to that is like, I'm okay at trivia. But the things that I know, I am confident in the things that I know. So if you ask me about cowboys, that is the thing I've been interested in forever. And we have done Schmanners episodes about it. And like, I know about it. And I'm not going to pretend like I don't know about it, right? It's to make an even weirder metaphor in D&D. So my character in the Adventure Zone, people often ask me like, you know, if I'm cheating or if like I have min-maxed the character and kind of broken the character. But the fact of the matter is like I know what his skill set is, and I don't try to do stuff that doesn't fall within that skill set.
Yeah.
This is a thing that I used to, this is another part of narcissism, is like I would see someone playing a guitar really well and I'd think I could do that. And the fact of the matter is I couldn't. I have a couple times now tried to pick up instruments, and it's just not a thing I'm actually invested in. And that's not to say I couldn't learn it if I wanted to, but when I pick it up, I realize like, oh, I don't want to. And so to judge myself for not being a good musician is silly, because it is a thing I literally don't care about. Right? So like this is a thing of like, find what your skill sets are, find the things that you're proud of within yourself and that you're confident in, and don't be ashamed of being confident in that thing. Like I am funny and I am good at being funny. I am good at talking and I am good at like relating to other people. I'm good at interacting with other people. Those are my strengths. I can't like play guitar. I am only a little bit good at cooking. Like there are things of like, this is not a skill set I have. This is not a thing I could do. And that's okay. But this is a thing I can really do, and I'm not going to pretend like I can't do it. And like that's a thing of like, I wish this is a thing that helps along with kind of asking myself like, what is my favorite movie? What foods do I like? Asking myself like, what do I like doing? What's the thing I'm good at? What's the thing that if somebody said, what's something you think you're better at than anybody else? What would I say without hesitating, without umming and ahhing and trying to be humble? What is the thing that I would say? And owning that and knowing that about myself. And like, it's a really nice feeling to have, you know, to be like, this is the thing that I'm really good at. And if anybody needs me to do it, I'm really good at it. And like knowing that about yourself and having that kind of confidence. There's nothing wrong with confidence. There's a big difference between being like a braggart and being prideful and having confidence. And like confidence just means like, I could do this if I needed to. I know I could do that. Pride is like, I could do that. Oh, well, if I wanted to be good at guitar and I played for 5 years, I'd be good at it too. That's pride. Confidence is like, yeah, you know what? Do you need someone who can play guitar? Because I can. Right? That's, you can be confident in that.
Right.
You can be, and you know what? You can be proud of that too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Can Dave
It's
Matthews
just,
be though? That's the
right.
question.
Well, here's the thing. This is another really wonderful thing. Man, I could literally talk for on and on, but this is a wonderful thing. Dave Matthews can be proud and confident in his musical playing ability. And you can think his music sucks, and both of those things be true. And like, this is a thing that like, I wish more people were okay with, of like, I can love a movie and you can hate the same movie, and we can both have valid reasons. Both of those things can be true. It is not because you are ignorant and I am smart, so I appreciate the movie. And like, it's one of those things of like, there are certain things. So like, genocide is bad. I think it's really hard to say, like, you know what? You can have one opinion of genocide, and I can have another, and that's okay. No.
And I'm willing for us to
We're in
take a
agreement.
hard stance as a podcast. We will take a stand. Genocide's bad. Racism's bad.
Yes. This is another thing that so we do trends like these. We talk about what's trending in the news. This is another thing that, like, really gets my dander out. Is like people who the human brain is the most powerful computer in existence, right? Our ability to think and reason and make decisions and take in input to make those decisions is unrivaled. So when someone says, oh, so it's okay for you to blank, but I can't blank, and it's like, those are two different situations. Like, in that situation, I would behave differently because the factors present would be different. It's like saying, oh, so 2 + 2 = 4, but 3 + 3 = 6? Yeah. Yeah, it does. Because there are different factors at play here.
Right.
So you can't say, like, oh, so it's not okay when a Nazi commits violence, but it's okay if you slap a Nazi. Like, those are two fucking different things. Like, it's something that's that is a thing that people do to undermine you and to make you feel wrong for believing a thing, not because they believe you are wrong. They might think that you're wrong, but really it's because they're trying to undermine your belief in that thing and make you think that you are wrong.
Right.
And that's the problem with, like, people discussing opinion, especially in social media, is that it's really hard in the void of social media to state an opinion and not be met with someone who disagrees with it. And that can feel very isolating sometimes, because you start to think, like, wait, am I wrong? Am I wrong to feel that way? No. That is hardly ever, if ever, the case. The thing is like, there are just some people out there who, more than caring about valuing their own opinion, only know how to value their opinion by devaluing yours.
Right.
And
sure.
that is destructive, bad behavior. I think I've gotten off topic, but
No, but it all makes sense. And so if you take anything away from this conversation, I think it is Nazis are bad. Genocide's bad.
Genocide's bad.
Self-care is sexy.
Yeah.
Do it. So yeah, should I do that shameless merch plug now?
Yeah, I'm saying way to plug our shirt.
Yeah, we do sell shirts that say self-care is sexy.
Hell yeah.
Because it is. Take care of yourselves, y'all. Like, really. And just listen to this. I just want to, like, cut out your segments and just, like, keep them on my iPod of just, like, if I need to, like, remember how to take care of myself, I'll just
Travis
listen to what Travis had to say. Yeah, like, Traffirmations.
Ooh, I like it.
That's what I'll do. But we're going to start winding it down. So if you would like to send us a topic for discussion or a mental health check-in, or you have anything else on your mind, we'll remind you again, we're not professionals, clearly. I mean, you've heard me talk. But you can send that to us over at isthisadultingpod@gmail.com. You can follow us over on Twitter at @isthis_adulting. Chris is at Chris Grimmett. I'm at the Stephen Pappas. And make sure you help spread the word. Subscribe, rate, review, do all that cool stuff on iTunes. We want to say a big thanks to The Collection for letting us use their song The Borrowers off their album Ars Moriendi as our theme music. Travis, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for letting me talk for like 2 hours.
That's all I want in life is to listen to you talk for 2 hours. So, and on a serious note, when we started this podcast in April of last year, one of our goals was at some point to have you on. And so reaching that goal is a really big deal for us. So you've changed us in different ways and inspired us in different ways. So
We're
thank
done
you for
now.
that.
Oh, okay.
We can
great.
finally
This is an
complete.
absolute joy. So I will come on again if you'll have me. If I haven't talked literally everything, maybe next time my topic should be like listener questions. If people like have questions for me.
Well, I mean, and the thing that Stephen was saying is just, we've shared this some, but really what you and your brothers have done, the reason why we've been inspired in the same type of way, is one thing that I've appreciated about all of you is that you have a deep passion for spreading joy in this
Well,
world.
thank you.
And that's something that has always come through. And that's something that, we wanted to be able to embody ourselves while also being able to kind of do something that we know that you're specifically passionate in, and that is mental health, of being able to say, look, we have the ability to both be joyful while simultaneously struggling with depression, and we've got issues, but we can also make fun of ourselves and laugh, and so yeah, we're trying to live out the same type of things that you're doing, and we're just grateful for people like you that lead the way in that.
Well, thank you very much. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you made the mistake of saying you would come back at some point, and I'll hold you to it. Do you want to remind everybody real quick where they can find you and your shows online?
Yeah, so the easiest place is McElroyShows.com. That also has like social media profiles and stuff like that, and all of our shows and everything. Or you can just follow me on Twitter at Travis McElroy. The graphic novel is out, theadventurezonecomic.com. And, this comes out the 19th. If you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, I'm probably going to be there somewhere. So you should come find me.
Yeah, you should.
That would be amazing. I'm going to fly to No, I can't. I have no money. Plus, I will be out of town that weekend. So that's why we're recording early. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here on Is This Adulting This Week. I've been your best friend, Steven.
I've been your best friend, Chris.
I've been your best friend, Travis.
And remember, kids, be happy, stay healthy, and go hug someone.
Because you never know, our best friend / master thief, Sarah, from earlier, may have stolen all your patio furniture right off your front porch.
Yep.
And I think you're going to need some stuff, apparently. Sarah, give all their things back.
You gotta watch out for Sarah. She's sneaky. She a sneaky snake. So it's right there in the initials. SS. Sneaky Snake Sarah. So
Nice.
Watch out. And y'all have a good week.
All right, bye.
I don't know